Happy Friday, traders. It is 8:01 a.m. on Friday, the 25th of September, 2015. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not indicative of future results. So, just a couple things to cover as far as the overnight. I'm sure many of you have seen that the overnight action has been pretty strong, very bullish. We've pushed through several key areas. Changes my homework quite a bit. Yesterday, after the close, Fed's Yellen came out and said that most FOMC members, including herself, expect liftoff to be likely later this year, followed by a gradual pace of tightening. That's good news for the market. We have not yet fully attained our objectives under the dual mandate. Some labor slack remains, and the influence of lower energy prices and past dollar appreciation have been significant factors keeping inflation below our goal. So she's saying they haven't quite met the dual mandate, which is employment and inflation. These comments are said to have catapulted the European markets higher. In addition to that, BMW announces that its emissions results have not been the results manipulation, and they expect that this issue not to affect their sales and guidance going forward. The Euro stocks are up 3.31%. The DAX is up 2.92%. The CAC 40 is up 3.38%. The FTSE is up 2.4%. So the European markets just having a pretty strong day today. Earlier today, building permits came in line. U.S. Q2 final GDP annualized came in at 3.9% versus 3.7%, slightly stronger. Personal consumption came in at 3.6% versus 3.2% expected. And then final GDP price index came in line at 2.1%, and core PCE came in at 1.9% versus 1.8%. All good news. That's all I have for the news. Looking at what's ahead for today. Come on. Looking at what's ahead for today, we have the U.S. Services PMI prelim at 8:45 Central, 9:45 Eastern, expecting 55.6. We have University of Michigan final at 9 o'clock, just a half hour after the open, expecting 86.5. And Baker Hughes rig count at noon. Other than that, we have ECB speaker or Fed Speaker Bullard coming on in about 10 minutes. Need to pay attention to these speakers. And then we have ECB Speaker Weideman at 12:15. And then finally, Fed Speaker George at 12:25 today. So three speakers coming down the line here. And then other than that, it's pretty much all driven technically. Yesterday's action was very interesting. Let's switch gears and look at the technical picture. Now again, I'm always reviewing the prior day's action before moving on to what we've got to look for today. And the reason I do it is not to say, hey, I'm right. It's to basically measure up my anticipation of what the hypotheses are versus what the market actually did, because there's a strong takeaway from that. If we ignore it, then we're not learning anything, right? And I'm constantly learning from the market. So yesterday's primary hypo was for it to open out of range. Why aren't we drawing here? Okay, let me pull up another whiteboard. Okay. Sorry about this. Not sure why it's not drawing. There we go. So we opened right against this target from the prior day. If you recall, Wednesday's target to the downside was 112 quarter to 112.50 to 13 quarter. We opened right at it. We opened at 13 even. to close this point of control, this pink line right here, we've been carrying forward for quite some time. I believe it's from the 6th. And the expectation was for it to open with some heavy chop, responsive buying to the upside. The overall expectation was for it to test uh, uh, 19, 1900, 1898, 75 was the key figure below. And that's basically what we got. We got down to 97 quarter. Yesterday played Hypo 2 and Hypo 1 at the same time. The second target above was the 2750. If we pushed through and into the 1775, which was this low here, this is a composite low. We have the Wednesday low to contend with, which was 2075, and then the target would have been 2750. So yesterday it got its target below, and it pretty much got its target above. It stopped just a few ticks ahead of that point of control on a very balanced day. Remember, I drew this yesterday. Very balanced day. Value is valid. Let me clear my throat. Value is very valid from Wednesday. So we need to pay attention to how it treats the point of control here. The expectation is it gets in, drops off, and then it gets through, and then it starts to balance again to form another high volume node there. Of course, the market ran out of time. We ended up with a multi-distribution. Notice the number of multi-distribution days that we've had is extraordinary. And essentially what that shows is the market is just not finding a consensus on value. They're looking. Price seems fair across the board, and it's the result of uncertainty usually. And so, in general, what it does is it's been trading in one area, then breaking, and then trading in another area, and then you end up with a profile that forms a high volume node, and then you have nothing in the area where the break happened, and then you have another high volume node, and that's what we've been seeing a lot of. It's unusual to have that many of them in sequence. So the prior day was a normal distribution. The day before that, the day before that was a double distribution profile, as you see here. Another double distribution profile, and again, the market is definitely battling it out to find value. So overall, yesterday's finish was very bullish. We end up with essentially a flag, a bullish flag. A bullish flag there on the close after this run up, and we're looking for that to resolve even higher and close the 2750 in the overnight session. What it actually did was a lot more. In the overnight, it ended up rallying pretty big. We have the response, the immediate response to the Yellen comments right away, right here, and then the Asian session started, and it just sat sideways, and then the European session took over, and it's just been very, very strong. Lots of short covering, a P-shaped profile. So if we put this profile on this side, this profile would look like this, and we call that a P-shaped profile. And a P-shaped profile shows that the shorts are getting squeezed out, and so we leave the stem below us, which is a weakness in the profile. The key area to watch for now is this neckline right here. So we're back to that 36, 38 area. We're just trading the same levels over and over, and I'm watching this on the open to see, does it fall through and therefore start challenging yesterday's high, or does it pull back, maintain, and push higher? The point of control is near highs. The high looks like it's got a pretty good taper on it. So I'd like to see, it's very important to watch into the open how we treat this how we resolve this small flag here. There's a lot of chatter. Feds Bullard comments, prudent policy to normalize rates should be taken over medium term. Anyway, so that's what the overnight's shaping up to be. A fair amount of volatility and a pretty decent gap. So let's look at the 15-minute before we get into our hypotheses. The 15 minutes showing us trading right here against the point of control that we've been fighting for quite some time, 40-50. And we have a micro composite area here. We're above the 3-day balance. So if I pull this in, there's a 3-day balance area that we've built, and we're above it. So the expectation for this morning is to, well, let's look at the composite. I'm a little bit fragmented this morning because this isn't the homework that I prepared for, but if we look at the composite and look at what we've done, so let's bring this composite in a little bit just to narrow it down to the areas that we're in. So you can see here that we're in a gap zone. So we're in a gap zone here, opening right in a gap zone with yesterday's high much farther below. 2-day balance right here, 2-day balance above, and so we end up with a double distribution with a narrow LVN, and then it's the market's right in the middle of that. I expect, because of this, I expect intermediate OTF action on the open. Therefore, what does that mean? Did I lose you on that one? This basically means that there's a high level of interest, a potentially high level of interest from both sides on the open. There is good cause to see these prices as fairly high, and therefore to find an opportunity to sell them back to the most recent point of control for this area down into that 23 zone. So there's a lot going for that idea, but at the same time there's also a lot going on for the idea that we're rejecting the lower value and are moving towards the upper value, and therefore starting to target 1955 and 1960, these high volume nodes here. So what we're likely to see is we open in the gap, and we're likely to test lower first, and we're likely to see it bouncing back up if buyers are motivated and are looking at these prices as too cheap. If it starts to respond and it falls back into the prior day's range or the prior composite zone, let's draw that on here. This composite right here. So these 2 days together, and then yesterday went into those 2 days. So this is a 3-day composite. So if it starts, so right now it's trading right in here. It's trading right in here, this yellow line that keeps going back and forth. If it starts to find its way down, then it's likely to catch this 27.50 and then ultimately test this 23.25. The expectation is it'll try to move lower, and it'll be rejected. It's likely to be rejected, and it's likely to work itself up to 52.50, which is a naked point of control right up here, 55, and then above there to the 60 zone, right up here. Okay. So again, it's another day just like yesterday where Hypo 1 and Hypo 2 have about an equal chance of playing out. The only edge I see is in the overnight profile that is showing that short covering has dominated the session. It's pulling back, and there's a clear delineation right down here. There's a clear delineation of where the market might slip through and start repairing yesterday's trading, basically responsive selling back into yesterday's value. I know that's a hard thing to process, a lot of this information, and it leaves you with a wishy-washy kind of plan for the day. But that's what we have, folks. There's just no way to predict what it's likely to do on the open once the stocks, the underlying stocks, open. Overall, we're seeing a lot of strength across Europe. The dollar's stronger today. The Just across the board, the DAX is up 3.09% right now. Euro stocks up 3.63%. Treasuries are lower, so money's being moved from the safer assets into the riskier assets. So there's a higher risk appetite, and that's why I expect that it would try lower and ultimately end up pushing higher today. I want to leave you with the same words of wisdom that I've pushed on my traders for years. It is Friday. Not a good day to be very, very aggressive. It's a good day to pick your spots. The market's likely to find its groove early and slow down early into the weekend. Not a good day to burn a hole in your pocket by exceeding or disregarding your limits. So just wait for things to set up. It's better to not trade until the Michigan sentiment number comes out at 9 o'clock, a half hour after the open, and let the market find its groove. Which side is the 800-pound gorilla in the room fighting on? And let's find a way to fight in its direction. So with that, I mean, let the market find its strength. Let's see who is in control, and then we start to stake our hard-earned cash in that direction, as opposed to going in there and saying, "Oh, it's got to drop. It's a gap. It's going to fill it." Filling this gap has a probably around a 54% probability. I have a chart that actually computes that. I won't pull that up right now, but it's not a high probability trade in my book. But you trade your plan and do the best you can. But overall, it's just not worth jumping in head first today. Okay. The other thing is, I wanted to let everybody know next Thursday is the first Thursday of the month. That is a public AAQ, Ask a Question webinar, or AMA, whatever you want to call it. I'll send a link out. It'll be on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, FuturesTrader71, twitter.com/FuturesTrader71 right there. If you have questions or are confused by what I'm saying or have comments and think I can improve this community service that I'm doing here, then go to the website, hit the contact page, and shoot me a message. And I'll try my best to respond, or I'll have someone else who's helping me respond. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you on Monday. Good luck today.